This is Far Cry 5. We're here on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So this is the fifth main entry in the Far Cry series, that's why it's called Far Cry 5. You're heading out to the heartland of America, as shown by the flag right there. You're trying to help a community that is dealing with a cult that has grown around this family that believes in the end of the world. This game is actually kind of technically a two-parter of sorts. American Eagle, because you've got Far Cry 5 and you got Far Cry New Dawn, and I would always recommend playing the two together if you can, because they are, you know, such a it's basically a two-parter. I mean, like, you could play this and it's totally fine, like, by itself, but if you do want, like, the full kind of story, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You should probably play, you know, both of them together. So let's dive in and talk about Far Cry 5. This is actually my favorite entry in the Far Cry series. It's just so interesting. Like, it's very different, like open fields, large forests. It's kind of nice. Like, I definitely find it kind of intriguing. I do actually find the story in this to be pretty neat, and I love the main kind of protagonist just in terms of, like, creepiness, unsettlingness. The way this character kind of is present here, and his family. I do feel like they could have pushed some of the narrative a little bit further in that regard. Where are you going? He's just running. Yeah, so that was one thing actually, like, especially like the character Faith. I particularly I always thought that character could use some more character development, because I thought she was very interesting, but yet they didn't really do a whole lot with her. But we'll talk about that in a sec. You're probably wondering how this game is running. So it's like a next-gen aware game is kind of the way they do it in this one. So it's 1620p. So we're getting like the full 1620p, 60 FPS, HDR. Yeah, that's kind of it. So it's pretty good. Like, it's a pretty clear, almost 4K image. Obviously, there is a bit of a, you know, a gap from the full thing. I mean, I wouldn't say almost 4K. Like, it is a fair bit step down, but it is a pretty clean image regardless, and that's mostly because this is inheriting certain elements from its, like, well, I guess the PS4 Pro back in the day kind of things, and like, you do get a clearer image if you play this on, say, the Xbox side of things, because it actually gets like a native 4K on there. So 1620p isn't quite that high, but still looks really clean, looks great, runs perfectly smooth, as you would imagine, because there's more than enough overhead here to actually provide us with a smooth experience the whole way through. I still think it's a pretty good looking game on the PlayStation side of things, even if it isn't quite fully pushing the boundaries that it probably could be delivering, right? Anyways, it's a great experience, filled to the brim with action, chaos, wild moments. Apparently me getting really injured here, considering I keep, like, basically almost dying fighting these basic enemies. It's actually kind of driving me crazy. I should be doing a lot better than this. As I was saying, there's a lot to do in this game, a lot to love. It's a really full experience too, just in terms of you got the campaign, you've got like a multiplayer kind of thing going on that's like dead, and then there's also the expansion kind of stuff. So this game had some like DLCs where you were like, one was like a zombies thing, one was where you went to like Mars, I think there was like a Vietnam thing or something too. There was quite a lot to this game, needless to say, in terms of really large, crazy action. I mean, it's Far Cry, right? So, like, you know, you get a mix of things that you do in Far Cry. You drive vehicles, you fly, you cause explosions, you can have a companion to fight with you. It was a very large Far Cry. Like, there was a lot going on in this one. It says yes on the hills. Is that gonna explode ever, or...? But it also felt like still a Far Cry that wasn't like never-ending like Far Cry 6 kind of gets to. It's kind of just a really great experience. Especially if you have never played this before for whatever reason. It's a lot of fun. The game is filled to the brim with content and things to do, and the map itself is really, really quite large. I covered this had a launch on the Xbox side of things, if you're wondering about progression. Like, it is a pretty big map. There is lots to see, there's lots of side activities, but it's not also, like, overly bloated, too. Like, there is a great balance of content and activities and little side things that you can have happening as you just sort of are out here trying to help this really, bad situation that's been happening here. You're kind of almost just thrust into it too, because you're like, you know, you're doing your job and stuff, and then there's all these crazy things, and I love the element of like all the various characters that you meet as they rally as a group trying to fight off against this guy, and there's a lot more than meets the eye in this one. Let's put it that way. They've actually got like a lot going on in this. How do I loot this from the back, or do I have to drive this to like a station or something like that? Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Truck looted. Can I take it? I don't feel like I've looted this truck. Lots of silly vehicles, lots of silly weapons, lots of quests. Every now and then you get abducted in true Far Cry, I don't know, design, Far Cry direction, true Far Cry action, true Far Cry style? Probably true Far Cry style, because, you know, you're just living your life, and then you get taken. You're like, oh no, what's happening? And then someone talks to you, and then you go and do some stuff. They filled them full of that stuff, those poppy things. It is kind of majestic, but you're not really getting like massive gains here too, because it is still limited by those factors. But hey, at least they bumped it up, gave us a smoother frame rate. Not really much you can complain about, right? Honestly, like, it's... And I don't even know if we'll ever really need, like, a remastered version of this either. I'm sure down the road, eventually, someday, that'll happen. The Far Cry series is pretty well loved, so, you know, I'm sure this won't be the last time we see Far Cry 5, but, you know, I don't think that'll happen for a long time. And it is a pretty complete version of the game, too. You know, you've got all of the... You got all the content... You got all the updates. You got all the Outpost things to do. You got the full-scale world to dive into. There's all these surprises, all these crazy action sequences to have. Wow. All these people to blast, shoot, and destroy. And a lot of side activities, too. And there's, like, what, fishing or, like, environment, like, hunting kind of things, like the usual Far Cry stuff. Improvements with perks. There is a lot to do in this game. Seriously, and it's just like action-packed, and as you progress, I guess you would say, as you do more in the world, the stronger you become, the better your arsenal is, the more things you can do out here to be an absolute, you know, chaotic rebel for the cultists that have propped up here. Even the cultists themselves, I think they've got some interesting concepts going on, too. They are ruthless menaces they're definitely causing some problems for the poor people, and I know it's kind of neat too from a perspective of like you definitely get what's going on in this world, and it's kind of crazy to be a part of, honestly. Like, just all the weird stuff going on in this game is just yeah, I don't know, it's really, really quite fun to dive into. Uh-oh. Oh! What? Did you see how far that woman flew? Did you see how far she went? She went flying! I will liberate you, my dear. The field's of burden. I just love how crazy this game gets. And then you get reinforcements too as things go on. I have a perk. Okay, that's great. I'm glad you interrupted me in the middle of this insane battle, because, you know, that's gonna help me out here. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad I can have a parachute now, but I'm kind of getting attacked by a lot of disruptive forces out here. Why won't you die? It's like I'm the only one dying here. And then of course they've got all the zany things too. You get all these different like weapons, tools, silly stuff, cosmetics. I mean, you saw the Far Cry mobile there, right? I'm kind of like at a bit of a downgrade section right now, because like I don't have all my cool stuff. When I played this on Xbox, you know, I've got all my cool things. And here I do not. You know what my problem was? I didn't disable the Outpost thing. It is really interesting though, because like, again, this, I feel like Far Cry 5 has just the right balance of like gameplay, but it's not like too bloated, but it's got lots of stuff, so it feels kind of endless. But it also doesn't feel like it's too endless. It's just the right amount of Far Cry. And I guess they do play it kind of safe to some degree, because it is kind of like, it really is iterative upon 4. I mean, I love this game. I think it's a nice upgrade over what we had prior, but it is also, doggo, it is also very, very much leaning on the mechanics that Far Cry 4 had. It's just doing something different. And I actually quite like that about this. The fact that like this Far Cry takes you to a completely different place. That was also a thing about Far Cry 6, was it was just kind of like, we're back to like a tropical space instead of really mixing it up. Good thing things went differently this time, because I gotta tell you, lady, you went flying last time I was here. It was not a good time for you, my dear. I just got these perks. Oh, now I'm re-getting these perks? Okay, that's great. Okay. I'm glad I'm reacquiring these perks. Did she die? Where did she go? I love that you can kind of just take these guys down if you get up to them. I don't even know where that music is coming from. I liberated the Cattle Co. And yeah, that's a big part of Far Cry, obviously, is liberating places, opening spaces up so more stuff can happen. It's kind of great. We did it! The cows are safe again! I mean, not the cows that died, but, you know, the cows that didn't die. The cows we mooed along the way. Hello there. How you doing?
I owe you for that.
Yeah, you do. You, seen anybody? Just gonna grab that armor. You're welcome, ma'am.
I'm here to help.
I'll hire her to the team. I really need my regular companion. I think I usually use this random crazy arrow woman and like a dog or something. I have like a whole squad going on. It is interesting though, right? Oh, and I said flying, driving. There's boat stuff too. You can get out there on the water and, you know, roam around and stuff. It looks good on the PS5 Pro. It is a little jaggedy, a little like cut back in some situations and stuff like that, but it's a pretty good way to play this game. I mean, the fluidity to me makes the biggest difference. I like that now we have open worlds that actually run at 60 FPS. To me, that is like such a game changer. Because obviously, originally it was like you just kind of did it with like 30 FPS, and that's no way to experience. No, I don't have money for anything. It's no way to experience a shooter, right? Like, I guess it was an open world shooter, but still. The in.
Step on it. Let's go.
But I want the redhead to join me. Do I have like a grenade I could use? That was a grenade. See, I'm blasting my way to freedom. By doing various things, you are freeing the folks here. I should probably revive that guy before he dies. It's the neighborly thing to do out here in the heartland of America. Especially since I shot him.
Just like hunting ducks.
Sure. There's a lot of activities, a lot of adventures to have, a lot of crazy things to see. I don't know, it's just kind of a beautiful, fun game. I don't know what it is that connects so well with me about this one. Like, I love the tropical elements of, like, Far Cry. It's fun, but there is something neat about them actually making unique locations work. And work well as cool places that I want to visit, I want to see. You're liberated. Hostage. I just want it to be noted for the records that I did free that hostage. The freed hostage situation did not last long, but I do want to note that I did free that hostage prior to that other civilian, not even a bad guy, running that hostage over on the road there. You know, sometimes things are out of my control. I can only be so much of a hero out here. And, I did save that person before things went horribly wrong. So again, just want to make sure that that point is clear. I did not cause that civilian to get mowed down by that vehicle. I was simply here trying to save lives. It was right in the head, thank you.
My God, thank you so much.
Usually the cows will kill people too. I take it we can't liberate this guy, because he's dead. And the cows are always funny in this as well. And then there's like crazy UFO type things too. This is Far Cry is so wild. This is a very, very interesting franchise, and Far Cry 5 is a rather wild time. And I think if you've been neglecting your Far Cry duties, there's a lot of crying and a lot of Far Crying that you can do in this particular adventure. Here, in the hotland of America. I don't have, like, things for repelling, do I, at this point? It's like you get to the top and then you come back down. There we go. I was like, why wasn't it working the first time? But it's smooth, it's looking good, it's Far Crying, and sure you'll have a lot of fun out there playing this if you haven't played it prior or just want to revisit it, I guess.